America's fascination with higher education has resulted in great pressure being placed on high school students to find the right college, get a good degree, and then become employed in a high-paying job. While admirable, this perfect dream is rarely, if ever, the case anymore, unfortunately. And quite a bit of research has been done on this. Nita P. Fogg is a research professor at Drexel University's Center for Labor Markets and Policy. She's also the co-author of a book entitled College Majors Handbook: The Actual Jobs, Earnings, and Trends for Graduates of 60 College Majors. The book was based on a U.S. Census Bureau of 150,000 grads, and it offers overview info on 60 different majors. According to research done by Dr. Fogg, 41% of graduates are employed in jobs that don't even require their degree. So they went to college, they did all this work, they got a degree, and then they got employed in a job that didn't even require that degree. CareerBuilder.com is a consortium, which means it's owned by several private companies, that was founded in 1995, and it offers career advice to job seekers. According to a survey done by them, in 2014, 51% of graduates were employed in jobs that didn't require their degree. So since 2012, that number jumped in 2014 by 10%. That means that over half of grads coming out of college are employed in jobs that don't even require their degree. Mark Kantrowitz is the author of 4 different books on scholarships and financial aid. He's also the president of MK Consulting and Corporations and publisher and VP of strategy at capex.com, which is a website that helps connect students with colleges and scholarships. Mr. Kantrowitz made an analysis of government data and found that as of 2015, average college loan debt was $35,000. That's on average, $35,000. That's a lot. While not true for all students, too many students are coming out of college with a useless degree and debt up to their necks. So this idea that college is the golden ticket to success really needs to be rethought. College can be helpful, but it requires careful planning and thought beforehand. I propose that a gap year after graduation is a better plan of action for high school students rather than immediately entering college. There are 3 main problems that I want to address that college students face, and the first is that they go into college ill-prepared. Why are they ill-prepared? Well, teens are too busy during high school to properly plan. Senior year is often when they're taking their most difficult classes. They may be preparing for the SAT or the ACT, attending final social events. Some may even have a job. Now, these aren't all bad things. These are all good, even necessary things. But it affects their available time to properly plan. And that's understandable, but you just can't plan for the future in high school. So once they get to college, they aren't prepared. They don't know what major to get into. So they go for a major for fun instead of for funding. They don't consider if that major will pan out into a job. And for even those who do know what major they want, their decision is often based on pressure from relatives, especially parents. Or their decision is based on assumptions on the nature of the major instead of research and self-evaluation. They don't actually look into that major and see how they might get a job with it. They don't think, do I actually want to get a job with this major? So the first year of college is squandered, exploring different classes or getting mixed in with the wrong crowd sometimes. Which leads to the next problem. Midway through, they decide to change their major. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, 80% of U.S. students change their major at least once. So this isn't an uncommon occurrence. It happens quite a bit. Now this is problematic because it can result in wasted credit hours. They took several classes and got several credit hours for that one major they thought they wanted, but then they switched and now this other major requires some different courses and some different credits, And so those ones they took for the major they thought they wanted are now useless. So they just wasted money. And that leads to the third problem, debt. Many college students are coming out of college with tremendous debt. This chart was created by Mark Kantrowitz, who I mentioned earlier, and as you can see, college debt is skyrocketing. From 1993 to 2005, which is about the middle of that chart there, college debt increased by 6%. And from 2005 to 2015, it increased by almost 7%. It's now at $35,000, like I said. That's higher than what the rate of inflation is. Now, it's not necessarily the college's fault that these problems plague so many students. The issue is that high school students are being pushed too soon to go to college when they simply aren't prepared. This is where a gap year can help. A gap year is time off between high school and college for self-evaluation, to explore different career options, and to find your passion. Taking time off to evaluate your strengths, weaknesses, interests, disinterests, and to think and pray about the future can really help students to avoid many of the pitfalls that first-year college students make. The American Gap Association is a 501c3 nonprofit accreditation and standards-setting organization for gap years that's recognized by such as the U.S. Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission. They collaboratively pioneer research on the benefits of gap years, and their primary focus is to increase awareness about gap years. An independent study done by them of 300 gap year students between the years 1997 to 2006 revealed that 60% of gap year graduates found their choice career, set them on their current career path, or it confirmed their choice of career path. 88% said it added to their employability. Gap years are actually very popular in many European countries, especially the UK and Australia. Sydney University was founded in 1852 and is in the top 50 prestigious universities worldwide, according to the QS World University Rankings in the 2015 to 2016 census. Sydney University researchers did a study of over 900 students, and they found that not only did taking a year off have a positive effect on students' motivation, it also translated to a real boost in performance in their first year at university. Harvard University is a well-known institution. It was founded in 1636 and is the oldest institution of higher education in the U.S. Many of its graduates have gone on to become notable figures. 8 even became U.S. presidents. Harvard has multiple schools ranging from everything from business to divinity. And even they recommend a gap year. Their website states, and I quote, "Perhaps the best way of all to get the full benefit of a time off is to postpone entrance to college for a year. For nearly 40 years, Harvard has recommended this option, indeed proposing it in the letter of admission. Normally, a total of about 80 to 110 students defer college until the next year. The results have been uniformly positive. Harvard's daily student newspaper, The Crimson, reported that students who had taken a year off found the experience so valuable that they would advise all Harvard students to consider it. Harvard's overall graduation rate of 98% is among the highest in the nation, perhaps in part because so many students take time off." Well, this is all good and fine and wonderful, but are there any actual examples of people who did take time off? Yes, there are. Madison Maths is a young lady from Indiana, and she has a passion for the Lord and Spanish. So during her gap year, she went to Costa Rica and was able to help start a church down there. When she came back, she decided to major in linguistics. She says, and I quote, "I feel like in the States there's a huge push for a college education and that it has to happen right away. But I'm glad I took a year to focus, learn, and to get my priorities straight before just jumping in without a breath." Taylor Korth is from Kansas, and upon graduating from high school, she was in a panic because she didn't know what to do. All her friends had gone to college, they already had their majors picked out, but she didn't know what she wanted to do. So she decided to take some time off. So the first semester after high school, she worked for a little while, and then she went to an inexpensive community college to complete some general ed requirements. Afterwards, she took an additional semester off to focus on what was important to her, and now she's found her major and is attending college. She says, "I was embarrassed in the beginning to tell people I took a semester off, but now I haven't wasted money and I've really gotten things together." So, a gap year can help prepare you for college. Harvard confirmed that. It can help you find your major. The American Gap Association reported that 60% of gap year grads found their career. But will it help you reduce college debt? Well, a gap year in and of itself won't solve that problem. Debt is unfortunately the price you pay for attending college these days. It's a sad fact. What a gap year will do is help you evaluate the value of going to college. Some may decide that they don't want to invest in college. They're not ready to put that much money in. They would rather go to the military or go to a trade school. Instead of finding that out in college and wasting money and time, a gap year can help students realize that ahead of time. There are several objections that critics bring up against a gap year. They say that students may end up wasting their time during their gap year. Images of laying around on a couch binge-watching TV shows come to mind. Or they may lose their study skills or fall behind their peers. Well, in order for a gap year to be successful and not a waste of time, students have to carefully plan. They must decide what they hope to get out of their gap year, whether it be rejuvenation, maturing, finding their passion, or gaining experience. These things can be attained by shadowing or apprenticing. And if the student has carefully planned, they won't lose their skills because they're not going to be lying on a couch. If they've carefully planned, they will be gaining even more skills to help them in life. Just because you're a year older than all the other college freshmen, if you do decide to go to college, just because you're a year older than everybody else there, doesn't mean you've fallen behind. Rather, it means you're more mature, and you're less likely to stumble blindly along hoping to find your choice career. So, my main point, and what I hope you take away, is that a gap year can give you time to prepare for the future. It'll help you slow down and take time to evaluate your goals, interests, and more importantly, what God's plan is for you. Thanks for listening.